This is not a story about saving the world, this is a story about the world that was already broken, and people who were taught to accept that brokenness as normal. Final Fantasy X begins with a light, a beautiful light, a city that looks alive, bright, loud, and futuristic, a city full of lights, music, cheers, and hope, a city called Zanarkand. This is where Tidus lives. Zanarkand is not just a place, it is a feeling. Neon lights everywhere, massive buildings reaching the sky, technology far beyond anything we see later in the story, and at the center of it all, a sport that everyone loves more than anything else, blitzball. Tidus is a star, not just a player, but a celebrity. Cameras follow him, crowds chant his name, kids look up to him. From the outside, his life looks perfect, but inside, it is not. Tidus lives in the shadow of one man, his father, Jekt. Jekt was not just a blitzball player, he was a legend, loud, arrogant, selfish, and incredibly talented, the kind of man everyone admired, except his own son. Jekt was never a good father, he mocked Tidus, embarrassed him in public, and treated him like he was weak, and yet, everyone else loved Jekt more than they ever loved Tidus. Then one day, Jekt disappeared. No explanation, no goodbye. Tidus was 10 years old. After that, everything fell apart. Tidus's mother stopped caring about him. She only talked about Jekt, only cried for Jekt. Tidus was alone, even when he was not. This is important, because Final Fantasy X is not just about monsters and magic. It is about abandonment, about being left behind, about feeling unwanted in a world that keeps moving forward without you. Now fast forward to the night everything ends. A big blitzball match is happening. The stadium is packed. Music is blasting. The crowd is screaming Tidus's name. This should be just another game, but then the sky changes. Clouds gather unnaturally fast. The ground shakes. The lights flicker. People laugh at first, thinking it is part of the show. It is not. From the ocean, something massive rises. Not a machine, not an animal, not something that should exist. This is sin. Sin does not roar. It does not announce itself. It simply exists, and that existence alone destroys everything around it. Buildings collapse like toys. Water floods the city. Fire spreads. Thousands of people die in minutes. Zanarkand, the shining city, is erased. Tidus runs. He has no idea what is happening. He does not even know what sin is. He just knows that his world is ending, and no one can stop it. Then he sees someone standing calmly in the chaos. A man with a red coat, a massive sword, and a face that looks tired. Not scared, not shocked, just tired. His name is Aren speaks like someone who already knows how this ends. He tells Tidus that this city is already dead, that it has been dead for a long time, and that Tidus does not belong here anymore. Tidus does not understand, but he does not get a choice. A wave of water and light consumes him, and everything goes black. When Tidus wakes up, the world is completely different. No lights, no buildings, no city, just the ocean. He is floating in open water, alone. Eventually, he is picked up by a group of people speaking a strange language. They wear goggles and strange clothing. These people are called the Alb. Tidus does not know it yet, but his life has just entered a world that has already given up on hope. This world is called Spira. Spira is the opposite of Zanarkand. No advanced technology, no towering cities. Everything looks fragile, temporary, as if it could be destroyed at any moment. And the reason is sin. In Spira, sin is not a mystery. Sin is not a legend. Sin is reality. Sin appears without warning, destroys cities, kills thousands, then disappears, and nobody questions why it exists. Nobody believes it can be stopped forever. People in Spira do not live with hope. They live with patience, waiting for the next disaster. Tidus cannot understand this mindset. He is angry, confused, he wants answers, he wants to go home, but there is no home to return to. Eventually, Tidus reaches a small island called Bizid. This is where his journey truly begins. This is where he meets Yuna. Yuna is quiet, polite, gentle. She smiles often, but her smile feels heavy, like it is hiding something. Tidus notices immediately that people treat her differently, with respect, with reverence. Yuna is a summoner. In Spira, summoners are the only people who can defeat sin, or at least, defeat it temporarily. They go on a pilgrimage, they visit temples, they gather Ians, powerful beings born from faith and sacrifice, and at the end of the journey, they perform something called the final summoning. This is where the life Spira truly begins, because defeating sin comes at a cost. Every summoner who defeats sin dies. This is not a secret, this is not hidden knowledge, this is simply how the world works. And Yuna knows this, she accepts it. That is the most terrifying part. Yuna does not talk about dying like she is afraid. She talks about it like it is her duty, like it is something she has already agreed to long ago. Titus does not know this yet, and when he finally does, it breaks him. Yuna is not alone on her journey. She is protected by her guardians, Waka, who hides his fear behind jokes and religion, Lulu, who has already lost 2 summoners before Yuna and refuses to feel too much anymore, Kamari, a silent warrior who owes Yuna his life, and Eren, who somehow followed Titus into this world. Eren should not be alive, but he is. Titus joins them as a guardian, even though he barely understands what that means. At first, he just wants answers. He wants to know how to go back home, but slowly, his reason changes. He wants Yuna to live, and that desire puts him directly against the entire world of Spira, because Spira believes sacrifice is necessary. Titus believes it is wrong, and this difference will change everything. The pilgrimage begins quietly. No dramatic speeches, no grand celebrations, just a small group walking forward, knowing exactly how this story is supposed to end. For the people of Spira, this journey is sacred. For Titus, it feels wrong from the start. As they leave Bazid, Titus starts noticing things that bother him. Villages with rebuilt houses that still smell like smoke. People who talk about sin not with anger, but with tired acceptance. Children who grow up already knowing that one day, everything they love could disappear. This world is not fighting to win. This world is fighting to survive, and survival, in Spira, means sacrifice. Yuna never complains. She never hesitates. Every time someone thanks her, every time someone woes, she responds with a smile. A quiet, gentle smile that makes Titus uncomfortable, because to Titus, it feels like everyone is thanking her in advance for dying. Waka explains the teachings of Yavum, the main religion of Spira. According to Yavum, sin exists because of humanity's sins, using machines, relying on technology, trying to control too much. Sin is punishment, and the only way to keep it away is faith. Summoners are holy figures. Their deaths are seen as beautiful, necessary. Titus does not buy any of it. Coming from Zanarkand, a place of science and technology, this logic sounds insane, but in Spira, questioning even makes you an outsider. Questioning sacrifice makes you dangerous. As the group travels across Spira, Titus begins to see how deep this belief runs. In Gillica, a village recently destroyed by sin, people mourn quietly. There is sadness, but no anger. They pray, they rebuild, they move on. Yuna performs the sending, a ritual to guide the dead so they do not become monsters. Titus watches as glowing spirits rise into the sky. It is beautiful and horrifying, because death here is normal. This is when Titus starts to realize something important. Spira is not just afraid of sin. Spira is afraid of hoping. Hope hurts too much when it keeps getting taken away. As the pilgrimage continues, Yuna gathers Ians from each temple. Valfer, Ifrit, Ixion, Shiva, powerful beings that answer only to her. Each Ian makes her stronger. Each Ian brings her closer to the end. Titus learns what guardians really are. They are not heroes meant to come back. They are shields. People who protect the summoner until the moment she dies. And somehow, everyone is okay with this. Even Yuna. That hurts Titus the most. During quiet moments, Titus tries to joke, tries to lighten the mood. He makes you laugh, and when she laughs, she looks like a normal girl. Not a sacrifice, not a holy figure, just a person. Those moments feel dangerous, because they make Titus forget what is coming, and they make you remember what she is giving up. As they reach Luca, a large city in the heart of Blitzball in Spira, Titus feels something close to home for the first time since Zanarkand. A stadium, crowds, cheers. But even here, since shadow looms. This is where Titus reunites with Blitzball, and where he realizes something painful. His fame in Zanarkand means nothing here. His skills are impressive, but his past does not exist. He is nobody, and yet, this is also where he begins to matter, because Titus speaks his mind. When he learns the truth about the pilgrimage, about Yuna's fate, he explodes, he yells, he questions everything. He asks why no one is trying to change the system. The others look at him like he is a child, because in Spira, this is just how things are. Lulu tells Titus that Yuna is stronger than he thinks, that she chose this path herself, that stopping her would be selfish, but Titus cannot accept that. He cannot accept the world that demands someone's life as payment. This difference in mindset creates tension, not loud arguments, but quiet distance. Titus starts to feel like an outsider again, like in Zanarkand, like with his father. And speaking of fathers, Jack's presence begins to haunt him. Jack's fears appear throughout the journey. Old recordings left behind by Jack himself. Titus hears his father's voice again, older, regretful, less arrogant. Jack talks about Spira, about his journey, about how much he misses home, and for the first time, Titus hears something he never expected. Jack talking about missing his son. This messes with Titus's head. The man he hated, the man he blamed for everything, was not the same man anymore, and Titus does not know how to deal with that. Meanwhile, Aren watches silently. Aren knows more than he says. Every time Titus asks questions about Sin, about Zanarkand, about Jack, Aren gives half answers, just enough to push Titus forward, but never enough to give him peace. It becomes clear that Aren is guiding this journey towards something specific, something unavoidable. As the group reaches the Milhan High Road, they witness Operation Milhan, a massive military attempt to destroy Sin using forbidden machina, weapons, cannons, pure firepower. The leaders promise victory. They are wrong. Sin appears and wipes out the entire operation in minutes. Soldiers die screaming, commanders vanish under waves. Hope is crushed instantly. This moment proves something important. Faith failed, technology failed, resistance failed. Sin is untouchable, and the survivors blame themselves for defying evil, not Sin. This is the moment Titus realizes how deeply broken this world is. People would rather believe they deserve suffering than believe the system is wrong. After Milhan, the journey feels heavier, quieter. Yuna's smile becomes rarer. Lulu's silence grows deeper. Waka bubbles down on his faith, clinging to it harder than ever, and Titus feels more alone than ever, but he keeps walking, because even if the world has accepted death, he has not, and that refusal will soon force the truth into the open. As the journey continues, something slowly changes. At first, it is subtle, a look that lasts too long, a silence that feels heavier than usual. Aren watching Yuna like he is counting down time. The closer they get to Zanarkand, the more uncomfortable the truth becomes. Titus can feel it. Everyone else seems to know something he does not. Yuna continues her pilgrimage without complaint, but the weight is starting to show. She prays longer, she sleeps less, and when she thinks no one is watching, her smile fades. Titus notices, he starts asking more questions, not just to Yuna, but to everyone, about the final summoning, about what actually happens at the end. No one gives him a straight answer. Lulu avoids the topic. Kamari says nothing. Waka gives religious explanations that feel rehearsed, and Eren stays silent. Like always, that silence becomes unbearable. Eventually, the truth comes out. The final summoning is not just a spell. It is not just power. It is a sacrifice. The final Ian is created from a faith formed from a living person, someone close to the summoner, someone they love. That person dies, and when the final Ian defeats Sin, the summoner dies too. Titus finally understands why everyone treats Yuna the way they do, why they look at her with gratitude instead of hope, why they thank her before the journey is even over, because to them, she is already dead. Titus snaps. He accuses the world of being cruel. He accuses Yuna of being reckless. He accuses the Guardians of being cowards for going along with it. But none of that changes anything. Yuna tells Titus that this was her choice, that she knew the price from the beginning, that this is what gives Spira peace, even if only for a short time. And that is what hurts the most, because Yuna is not being forced. She has been convinced that her life is worth less than the world's temporary calm. This is where Final Fantasy X stops pretending to be a simple fantasy story. It becomes a story about systems, about traditions that survive because people stop questioning them, about sacrifices that repeat because no one dares to say number. Tidus refuses to accept it. He tells Yuna he will find another way, that he does not care what the teachings say, that there has to be a solution where she lives. Yuna listens, but she does not promise anything, because deep down, she believes this is the only way. As they continue towards Zanarkand, cracks begin to form in Event's teachings. They meet Master Seymour. Seymour is calm, polite, soft-spoken, everything a religious leader should be. But there is something wrong about him. His eyes feel empty, like someone who already gave up on life. Seymour reveals something terrifying. He wants to become sin. To him, death is mercy. He believes the world is beyond saving, that the only peace comes from total destruction. And the most disturbing part is that Seymour is not entirely wrong. Spira is so tired, so broken, so afraid of change. Seymour represents what happens when despair becomes philosophy. Yuna rejects him, and for that, Seymour becomes her enemy. The group defeats Seymour, but his words linger. If even leaders of Yevon believe the world is hopeless, what does that say about Spira? Then comes the truth about Zanarkand. The ruins they are traveling toward are not just ancient remains. Zanarkand was destroyed 1,000 years ago, long before Yuna, long before Spira became what it is now. The Zanarkand Tidus remembers should not exist, and that means Tidus should not exist either. Arin finally begins to speak. Zanarkand still exists because it is being summoned, maintained by faith who have been dreaming for 1,000 years. Tidus is part of that dream. He is real enough to feel, to love, to suffer, but he is not meant to last. When sin is destroyed for good, the dream ends, and Tidus disappears. This truth crushes him. Everything he fought for, everything he felt, his desire to protect Yuna, his anger at the world, all of it suddenly feels temporary. And then comes the final revelation. Sin is eject. Tidus's father did not disappear. He was pulled into Spira. He became a guardian. He became the final in for Yuna's father, Vraska, and in doing so, he was trapped by Yuna. Jek became Sin, a mindless shell driven to destroy, a punishment stretched across eternity. The monster that ruined Spira was once just a man who missed his son, and now, the only person who can stop him is Tidus, not as a hero, as a son. This changes everything. The pilgrimage was never about saving the world, it was about repeating a cycle of suffering, and now Tidus understands the truth. If they follow the rules, Yuna dies. If they win, Tidus disappears. If they do nothing, the world keeps suffering. There is no happy ending, unless they break the system, and for the first time, Yuna hesitates. She sees Tidus not as a guardian, not as a dream, but as someone who changed her, someone who showed her that maybe, just maybe, the world is wrong. And that thought is dangerous, because it means the sacrifice might not be necessary. Once the truth is revealed, there is no going back. The pilgrimage was supposed to be a straight line. Walk forward, pray, sacrifice, die, repeat. That is how Spira survived for 1,000 years. But now, that path is broken. Tidus cannot unlearn what he knows. Yuna cannot pretend this is just her duty anymore. And the others, whether they want to admit it or not, feel it too. If they continue the pilgrimage as planned, Yuna will die. If they succeed completely, Tidus will vanish. If they fail, Sin will keep destroying the world. The system was never designed for everyone to live, so they chose to reject it. This is the moment Final Fantasy X fully changes its message. The group decides they will not use the final summoning. They will not create another Sin. They will not trade one life for temporary peace. Instead, they will kill the source, Yuya. This decision instantly turns them into enemies of the world. Events leaders brand Yuna a traitor. Soldiers are sent after them. Temples are closed. Safe places disappear. The world that once praised Yuna now hunts her. And yet, for the first time, Yuna feels free. She is no longer walking toward her own death. She is walking toward a future that does not exist yet. The group returns to Bevan, the heart of Yvonne. This is where everything collapses. The truth about Yvonne is exposed. The leaders are either corrupt, desperate, or already dead. Seymour returns. more twisted than before, clinging to his belief that death is salvation. Yuna defeats him, not just in battle, but in ideology, because she chooses life, and that choice shakes everything. Eren finally reveals the truth about himself. He is unsent. Eren died years ago, protecting Yuna and Titus's father. He exists only because of his strong will and his promise to see this journey through. Eren is already dead. He has been walking beside them as a ghost, fueled by regret. This revelation is quiet. There is no dramatic reaction, just understanding. Everyone in this story has already lost something. Eren lost his life. Yuna lost her future. Titus lost his past. Now they are fighting for something none of them were promised, a future. The final battle approaches. Sin appears again, larger, more violent, more desperate. It senses the end coming. Inside Sin, Titus confronts Jecht, not as a monster, as a man. Jecht speaks openly now. He apologizes, not perfectly, not cleanly, but honestly. He admits he was a bad father. He admits he was afraid. He admits he misses Titus. This is not redemption. This is closure. Jecht asks Titus to finish it, to free him from the endless cycle, to end his suffering. Titus does not want to, but he understands. And so, the son kills the father, not out of hatred, out of mercy. With Jecht gone, Yuna reveals itself, a parasitic entity clinging to the eons, using them to recreate Sin over and over again. One by one, Yuna must destroy her own eons, beings she prayed for, allies who carried her this far. Each one falls. This is the final price. Yuna is destroyed. For the first time in 1,000 years, Sin is truly gone. The cycle is broken. The world is saved. But salvation demands one last sacrifice. The faith stops dreaming, Zanarkand fades, and Titus begins to disappear. The battle is over. There is no explosion of joy, no loud celebration, just silence. Sin is gone. For the first time in 1,000 years, Spira is free. Cities are still standing. The ocean is calm. The sky is clear. People slowly realize that the fear they lived with their entire lives is finally gone. This should be a happy ending, but it doesn't feel like one, because Titus is fading. At first, it is subtle. His body feels lighter. His footsteps barely touch the ground. His hands pass through the air a little too easily. He knows what it means. The dream is ending. Zanarkand was never meant to last forever. Neither was he. Titus doesn't panic. Not anymore. He's had enough time to accept it. What hurts is not dying. What hurts is leaving. He looks at everyone one last time. Waka, who finally smiles without fear. Lulu, who allows herself to feel hope again. Temari, who stands tall, no longer ashamed. Eren, who nods, knowing his own time is ending too. Eren fades as well. His task is complete. Yuna runs. For the entire journey, Yuna walked calmly toward death. She never ran from it. But now, when life is finally hers, she runs toward Titus instead. She reaches him at the edge of the airship. Her voice breaks. Her words are not a prayer, not a speech, just the truth. She thanks him for staying, for fighting, for showing her another way. Titus smiles. He laughs like he used to, like a kid from Zanarkand, like someone who finally made peace with the world. He tells Yuna to live well. Then he jumps, not because he's giving up, because he's done. Titus disappears into the sky, turning into light. Yuna falls to her knees, and the player understands something painful. The world was saved, but the cost was real. There was no trick, no secret revival, no sudden miracle. Some stories end with loss. Spira enters a new era called the Eternal Calm, a time without sin, a time without forced sacrifice, a time where people are allowed to hope again. Yuna stands before the people of Spira, no longer as a summoner, no longer as a sacrifice. Just as Yuna, she tells them the truth. That the cycle is over, that the world is free, that no one needs to die for peace anymore. Her voice is steady, but when she looks at the sky, she remembers, and so does the player. Final Fantasy X stays with people because it doesn't lie. It doesn't say sacrifice is beautiful. It doesn't say suffering is noble. It doesn't say love always wins. It says some systems survive by breaking people, and some people are brave enough to say number. Titus was not a chosen hero. He was a mistake, a dream, and yet, He changed everything, because even if he was never meant to exist, his feelings were real, his choices were real, his love mattered. That is why this story still hurts, not because it is sad, but because it feels honest. This is Final Fantasy X, a story about refusing to accept the cruel world, a story about choosing life over tradition, a story about a boy who never belonged anywhere, but saved everyone anyway, and that is why, years later, people still remember his name.